Hello, Amanda Fisher, the Cash Flow Queen. And today I want to talk about how you account for government incentives. Wherever you are in the world, it doesn't matter. What's important is that you are keeping a track of them separately. So what I suggest is keeping them in their own account categories. So in your profit and loss, you've got income, cost of sales, if that's relevant, and expenses. And there's another little group of line items that are called other income. What I want you to do is separate out and report whatever government incentives you've got as separate line items in your other income. Now, the reason to do this is so that when you look at your reports, you're going to be able to identify what your reporting results were or would have been if you didn't have those government incentives. So for me, it's really important to be able to look at your results and go, okay, so we've made a $5,000 profit this month, but we've got $10,000 in government handouts and incentives and support, whatever that looked like. So really we lost $5,000 this month if we didn't have that support. I think it's really important to be able to keep a track on that and to be able to then compare, this month with the same month last year, this quarter, last year's quarter, so that you can see how the trading has operated, to be able to compare the figures, and particularly obviously in these last few months where we've had significant lockdown, shutdown, reductions of income from most businesses, that what has the impact been and how much has the government assistance supported you. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about, for Australia, we've got grants that have been coming through, if you're eligible from them from the states, a separate line for your grant. Some of those will be taxable, some of them may not be taxable. You need to identify that. We also have cash flow boost payments. Those are not taxable. So having them in their own line that says cash flow boost payment, so tongue twister that one, cash flow boost payment on its own means there's no question your accountant isn't going to miss it when they do your tax return. And then there's the JobKeeper payments. And again, separating those out will help you identify just how much wages costs you've had through this period and how much you've had that supported by the JobKeeper payments. So having those separated out, potentially even if you're the business principal and you've got JobKeeper for you and you don't have a salary to offset it, maybe even keep that as a separate line that says JobKeeper business principal, so that you can easily identify what each amount is from. Because what I want to be able to do is check the figures from a management perspective on where they come from. Make sure you're only paying tax on the bit you need to pay tax on, and you're not accidentally paying tax on something that is not taxable is important as well. Now, if you've received some funding that you have to repay, so that might be a loan, it could have a different name on it. If there is some sort of support that you've received that you do have to repay at some future date, it doesn't belong in the profit and loss. It belongs in your balance sheet, and it belongs as a liability in the balance sheet. So it's a bit like an accounts payable or a creditor. That is, and I would recommend it's in a line of its own as well. So you've got a line there for loan, whatever the relevant terminology is for that loan, and then when you're repaying it back from that as you need to, went down the track, whatever the requirements are to make those repayments. So bottom line, separate out any government incentives, everyone in a different line, so you can really see clearly what you've received, how much and for what. So also helps to identify taxable and non-taxable components. And from that, then you can look at your management reports and get a better idea of how your business is tracking or would have tracked without the support and how it's tracking with the support. Because the key of all of this is to remember to make your numbers count.